In this video, I will show you how to download SketchUp file, import it into 3ds Max, fix it. We're gonna work with the textures, materials, light, fall off, soft selection, and final rendering. Before we continue with 3ds Max, we should dive in 3D Warehouse, which is the place where you can find furniture or models for SketchUp. So you just type 3dwarehouse.sketchup.com. You should create your profile. I haven't logged into mine, but that's not necessary because I still can download files. And then you have this with all categories where you should just click all categories sometimes, so interior design or architecture. But the case is not all users who upload models, they select the right category, so sometimes it's better just leave it as all categories. And in our case we need a sofa, so I'm going to type a sofa here, and this is kind of a drop down. This I suppose this is the Spanish version of the sofa, but by typing two types of sofa words, the SketchUp will sift through and provide me more even broader search. At the first glance, not all models will be fine, but don't worry. I mean, this is the initial search. If you start diving deep into the search by clicking on a sofa, for example this one, like here, and you'll see here related collections, and this is where you find the best pieces. Or the other way of finding something is by typing the exact model of the sofa. In this case, I'm not going to type, but if you know a brand, and there's a high probability this brand will be uploaded onto SketchUp. So in my case, I'm going to check some collections for further. I like this how it looks, and there's 87 pieces in that collection, so I'm going to click on sofas. And here I see there's loads of sofas, and some of them are nice, some of them are crap. So let's try, let me see, this is the image. This is looking okay and nice for our purpose because it has a wooden armrest. Yeah, let's go with this one. So then as you click here, you can click on 3D model. You have to wait for a couple of seconds until the browser loads your animation. Actually, it's like interactive viewport, so you can check the model if it's okay. And this one, it does look okay, although I see a small problem here, which is perfectly fine for us because we're gonna deal with it later on in 3ds Max. And yeah, this is leather piece, actually it's not wood. Okay, great. And now I'm downloading the piece. Yeah, I have to sign. I forgot to sign. And now I'm signed already, so you have to sign via your Google profile. So you click download, and there's a couple of versions. Just download the latest one you can open. You have SketchUp 2019, click on 2019 or 17, doesn't matter. I'm going to click 2017, and it's downloading now. As soon as it's downloaded, then we are clicking on open folder, and we are going to load the SketchUp and load the file into the SketchUp. And now we have our file loaded in SketchUp, and we see it is looking okay, but I want to improve the texture of it because I'm going to do it in 3ds Max. So there's nothing to be made here unless there's a couple of pieces you want to delete. In this case, let's try for the sake of this, I'm going to delete this. No, not this one, that one. And then the very important bit is always remember to save the files unless you're working with 3ds Max 2020 or 2021. In order to open the SketchUp file into 3ds Max, you should save as 2015. That's the most important bit of all. Now I have saved my SketchUp file in 2015, and I'm inside 3ds Max, and press File, Import, and Import again. And here in my select file to import, I've loaded the SketchUp file I want to import, and I'm clicking on it, and there's a Moodle box. Basically it asks you a couple of things, just leave it as it is. And now I have my file into 3ds Max. So one very important bit is always remember to press Shift G, because you want to check for remaining edges or vertices. In this case there's no such thing. And then we see it is a bit messy, but unless you don't want to spend time and fix this geometry, I don't advise you to do anything else. The best thing we could do is just try and stitch all vertices. So in this case you have to convert with the right click to editable poly, and then click vertices, select all vertices with Ctrl A, then right click, weld, and you will see in this case there's no unwelded vertices, which is great. Let's try it for this one as well. Perfect. And for that one, perfect. So I assume this model is great. Now I want to change the texture, or at least improve the texture, because it looks like a little bit low res. So what you need to do is to open the material editor, select the texture, and then check the resolution of this texture by clicking on view image. And yeah, it's okay, but I suppose it's tiny. So in order to check to find the texture where it is loaded, you have to click Reveal Location Explorer, and this location is C folder in your Windows file, and sometimes it's called texture 1. Sometimes there's loads of textures here, and there could be duplicates. In this case, you see there's lots of text. So I have to find, yeah, that's the folder, that's the texture. Right click, properties, and we check it's 512. This is kind of okay. So let's try something else. We can increase the amount of tiling, and as this texture is with no significant spots or any patches of dirt or grime or something which can be, if it's repeated, and it will be seen multiple times into the texture. So you can increase the texture, and by increasing the tiling of the texture, it does look like we're increasing the quality of it, which is fun. The next step is, it is advisable to convert before you want to save and import your newly created furniture into your virtual staging scene. You want to convert it into Corona rendering, and now you have opened the Corona converter. So one thing you should do is click on everything to convert the materials, map, and lighting, and then press Start Conversion. As soon as you're ready, select all objects and select Show Selected Objects in the same file. The next step is to check our model if it's okay with the lighting, or to fix this seam here. So let's first fix the seam here. So go and open, this is not in a group, so then the whole thing is as one signal model. So we have a couple of options here. One of my personal preference is to work with UV tools, but this is something for one of the next videos, and it's a little bit more advanced. So as you're just a beginner, or I assume, you should be able to do it with UVW map modifier, which is available in 3ds Max, and everyone will have it. So just go and click box, as it's more easier and more convenient. You should be able to, with a little bit more adjustments to make sure. Basically, it's not that complicated, but as you can see, the geometry of this cushion is not great, so this will cause some distortion here. So my advice is to find the middle grounds, so to say, or just increase the tiling of the texture, which will hide a little bit all of the problems and the glitches here, although it's not perfect. But I assume this will work for now. So please do have in mind, this is not a mapping tutorial, and the purpose of this tutorial is just to show you how to prepare everything for virtual staging. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see UVW map in action, or at least a tutorial where I unwrap and map furniture. So the next step is, when I'm fine, I'm going to check the rest. I assume this is supposed to be something like an edge of the pillows. Let's leave them for now because they all seem to have it, and there's a gap here as I see, so this gap is part of the pillow or not. Yeah, let's leave it at that because I don't want to create a longer tutorial than this one. So the next thing is to load our HDRI environment, as it is easier and convenient. So open the environment tab by pressing 8 on your keyboard, and then click on environment slot. Then you should be able to see, if you have set your HDRIs, you should be able to see them here. If not, you could do this, right click, Corona material, and then set. Actually, we don't need that Corona material. We can just go and quickly select maps, Corona bitmap, and now we found our folder with HDRIs from HDRI Heaven. So I'm going to pick something which is 1K. This one is fine. So click. What you need also is a tone mapper. Just exclude all of the post-processing effects and drag and drop into the environment slot. And now you're done. So upon pressing the interactive button, this loads my interactive browser. You can increase the highlight at 2 and the contrast at 3 for better contrast and preview. And as you can see, the object is already looking pretty much fine. Something I don't like is this is too strong. You can play a little bit with the exposure further. Yeah, actually let's set it this. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to go and check most of the parts of this model are fine and perfect. So what I want to create is to upgrade those materials a little bit, only tiny bit. So click on this, pick material from object and select it. You'll see your object here, and this is interesting glitch from 3ds Max. I don't know why this is happening. It doesn't matter actually. So upon double clicking on the chrome material, just set the reflection to 1, and you'll see the material, the wood now is more reflective, and the glossiness should be around 0.7 or 0.6 if you want to be less reflectivity. Something else is to copy this by pressing shift and drag the texture, and then we need to plug in a bitmap converter to bump map, basically add a little bit of strength to it, and now we start to see more of the texture, and this is way too much, so I suppose you can easily increase even more the tiling of the texture, which will create a tiny microscopic bumps and scratches, and basically this will give you the illusion that it is rough a little bit. We don't need that to be that strong, so go back into the material and lower down the bump to 0.1. we needed only a subtle effect. We don't need it to be a super strong and visible. Another thing is we could do is just to add a round edges option. This requires you to plug in the corona bump into the additional bump and then plug this into the bump, and by doing that we see now all edges are more round, and we need to decrease it. Let's see, 1, now it's fine. Let's go now to the fabric. The fabric, if we need to see the bump of the fabric again, we should do the same. It's for your convenience, you can quickly select all of the 3 components and shift click drag and just copy, then you just replace the wood texture, and then you directly put this into the bump, and now we have very quickly sort of say a bump map. And something else which I'm a big fan of is to add a fall-off map. Then you see how there's a fall-off effect applied onto it. It's like a dust. Of course it's too strong, so we have to decrease the whole thing and decrease a little bit here and the white. We need it only subtle. We don't need it to be a super strong and visible effect. Another thing I love to add is Corona AO, and then plug this into an occluded color and plug back into the diffuse color again. And now of course this needs to be amended to 1. We need a slight dark shadow here just to separate the bits from it. Now let's see how it is looking. Actually it's still too strong. I see it here, so we need to go back to the fall off and lower this. Yeah, this is looking better now. Something else now I need is to do this leather here. So as there's already a leather material, I don't want to change it. I'm just in a hurry. And then you click, drag and copy this, and then you just plug it directly into the diffuse material, and then you just swap the already current texture from the fabric. Now we have entirely new material just by swapping. If you need to move your sun, basically the rotation of HDRI can be done by this. You go back into the HDRI map and you use the rotate option to rotate the whole thing. If you hold down the control while rotating, the numbers here will go faster, so which will allow you to move quicker with the rotation. A tiny bit, that's fine. And now I need to add a little bit of reflectivity to this texture as well. Reflectivity 1, that's too much. 0.5. And now we need a bump map again, so let's do it again. Copy, shift track, put it in the bump folder, bump node, sorry. And now we need to do the same thing again. There's a slight bump here I see, and this will not work all the times, and sometimes you need to add a proper leather material, leather bump map or leather texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and find a leather texture. And now I have loaded my leather texture here, as you can see, and I'm going to plug this into the Corona bump converter, and it will be very rough as you can see, so we can go and lower the tiling. That's looking fine. I can go even further. Yeah, it is looking better now. So something else I don't like with this specific material is the fall off is way too harsh. So I'll go lower it even further, and even better if you select the color picker from this and you go and select one of the colors. Basically your fall off color will be from the same color as the material, which is great. We need only a subtle effect, not super strong. And this is looking better now. And this is looking great. And as the sun is very strong, I need to play with those settings here a little bit. As you can see, if you want to remove entirely the highlights, just go and fill me highlights, set 1, and it will clump the colors, but this will start looking fake. That's why I don't do it. The next thing is, let's touch this. It should be some sort of brass or metal. It already has the color, so what I need to do now is just to bump up the reflection, set it to 12 or higher, and it is already looking as it should be. And if I remove the diffuse color as with all metals, and then click on glossiness and reduce it down to 0.7 or 0.6 something, it will start looking great. And this is all I need. I don't need something super fancy. Something very interesting, I don't know what this material is, but I'm going to add it as a metal again, which I've just created, this brass. It will be a little tiny fancy detail of the whole thing. As I see, let's try and reduce the fall off map even further for this fabric, because as you can see, it's not looking great. You can do it by reducing the value here down to 0, or just go and create less white. And now if we rotate this, basically we'll see this. It's great. For those of you who are not keen on using HDRIs or still not familiar with this method, the safest and the quickest way is just to add Corona Sun, and then when you select the sun, click on Add Corona Sky, and you are set. So then you will be able to see your nicely lit object from the Corona Sky. Of course, it will be overexposed, so one of the ways you can fix this is by decreasing the intensity to 0.3 or 0.2. Do it as your preference. Something else which is advisable in Corona Sky, you don't have basically ground, and I do advise you to always get some really nice ground as in this way your material will be more properly
5 minutes later.
It will look better. Basically it will get the necessary shadows and the light which bounces back from the ground. You will be able to gain more proper representation of what you're doing right now. And the final bit of this object is to set this white piece as additional material. click on slate material again, choose the material, and what we need here is to check if this fabric is yeah, it is kind of similar to the other one, but it's just more fine. Basically it's more subtle, it's more detailed, it's less it's not that rough basically. So what we can do is decrease the tiling in order to increase the visibility of all details from the texture. And if this doesn't work, so I'll add a corona color, which I'll plug between the diffuse and my bitmap, and then I will lower down the brightness to see what we have here. So yeah, and it is not mapped correctly as well. So this is the other thing which I'm going to fix now. And again, modifier UV map. Or in this case, if you don't want to start with a new UV map, you can easily click your click all your other objects which you've set already your UV map, and right click, copy, click your new object, right click, paste, and basically you are copying the settings from the other objects and their modification. But all modifications you've done to the UV map will be applied to the new object as well. So what we see here is this doesn't work quite as expected, so we should go and see, press the gizmo by pressing 1 on your keyboard and just activate the scale, and then do slide scale to match at least the scale of the vertical. And actually I've managed to do it from the first go, which is fine. And then I see we have a slight issue here with the belt, basically, who is intersecting with this pillow. And what we can do here in this case is select the vertex, convert this, before that actually convert it to editable poly, select one of the vertices at the top, go at the soft selection, activate your soft selection, and then go and increase the amount of soft selected vertices. As soon as you're done, just go and click and slightly drag above the belt, and click at the back, slightly move it to make sure the belt is properly above the cushion. And now we're done. When you're ready with this and you're satisfied with all of the amendments you've done, then you just go quickly, you don't need all of that, you delete it, select your object, convert it to a group, add a proper name, armchair in my case 1.
5 minutes later.
And now I have loaded my old scene from the perspective match tutorial, which you can find down in the comments if you haven't watched it, and I'll test my newly created armchair from SketchUp. And now press File, Import and Merge, find your chair where you have selected your chair, and then I do open and double click on the name or press OK, and now your chair should be somewhere in the scene. As in this instance, I have created my scene far from the origin of the scene, so your chair will be loaded into the scene by without, you can see it here, my chair is selected but I don't see it because it's somewhere. Just for your convenience, click Shift A, and this is the quick align, and just press on your wall or somewhere, and you will see your chair being here. I'll move it to that place, and this is a newly created chair. And then, as you can see, the gizmo is not aligned, so what I'll do is just activate the pivot and then activate pivot only, and I'll drag and align with the snap tool at the bottom of the chair, and then I'll make it as is on the floor, and then test. And now I have my chair into the scene embedded, and I see it is working great. Something very interesting, if you're not happy with some of the materials which you've created and they don't fit the current scene, upon opening the slate material you can pick the material with the color picker, and then you can add another Corona color correct before the fall off and the Corona AO, and just in my case I want to desaturate the leather texture, so I'm going to saturation, I'm lowering down the values there, so I see it is desaturating, and this is looking great. Something else, I think this is too saturated, the cherry material, so I'm going to select that one as well. Add another color corrector, Corona color corrector here. I'm adding it before the diffuse, and I will do the same. I will lower down the saturation value to match at least the material, and as well I will lower the brightness too, as I want it to look like more industrial and contemporary and looking fine. With this in mind, let's conclude this tutorial, and let me know down the comments if you've got more questions, ideas, or you want me to create another video on a topic which is being bothering you, or anything else. Just let me know down the comments. Please do subscribe to my channel, click the like button and click the bell notification icon so you will be notified every time when I upload a new video. Thank you.